Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing?
But I believe he should to fight against Aspinall, but I think he a little bit afraid of him, because Aspinall is someone who can really stop him and beat him.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
Shortly after a brief encounter between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones at a US airport, Aspinall has broken his silence. Speaking out publicly, the interim heavyweight champ made his intentions clear. Following his scheduled bout with Cyril Gane, Aspinall says he's ready to challenge Jon Jones next. "I've got nothing personal against him," Aspinall stated. "But deep down, I believe I'm the better fighter. I truly believe I can beat him. And that's exactly what I'm aiming for."
Gun to my head, I would have said Jon Jones will beat him right now. Guess what? Tom has never been pushed into those championship rounds. Once he gets to those championship rounds, even now, say Cyril Gane pushes him 25 minutes. If he beats Cyril Gane, but he learns to go 25 minutes where that first time you feel that, yo, Tom hasn't gotten off this stool for a third round.
Israel Adesanya has raised doubts about Jon Jones' recent actions, questioning whether the former champion is truly stepping away from the sport. On his YouTube channel, Adesanya pointed to Jones' appearance at a recent combat sports event in Russia, asking why someone who claims to be retired would travel so far just to sit ringside. If he's really done, what's he doing flying across the globe for a fight? Adesanya questioned. He suggested that Jones' behavior doesn't match that of someone leaving the game and hinted that Jon might still be negotiating behind the scenes. "You don't make moves like that unless you're still watching closely," he said. "Something's definitely going on."
Is he really good?
I think he's good.
He can beat Jon?
That's a far. See, Jon has always been my favorite fighter to watch because I felt like any person he fought, he can do whatever he wanted to them. Granted, Jon is older, so, if he gets to Stipe, which I think he will, he's gonna get through another training camp, right? Because the body's, getting older and older. It doesn't, fight like it used to. So I think Jon can.
This came just days after Jon Jones made an unexpected appearance at a major combat sports event in Russia. His unannounced visit drew attention, especially given the timing. Right as the UFC confirmed Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight title. According to multiple attendees, Jones was seen having private conversations with figures tied to different MMA organizations. While nothing official has emerged from those talks, his presence, coupled with his recent silence, has fueled speculation about his future in the sport. Joe Rogan also weighed in on the situation during his podcast, criticizing the UFC's decision-making. "You've got Tom Aspinall, possibly the most skilled heavyweight I've ever seen, and they match him with Cyril Gane, a guy who's already lost to both Jon Jones and Gane. That's not the clarity fans are looking for," Rogan said.
GSP, why is that fight not happening?
Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money.
You could say it, GSP. Go for it. Come on, say what you want to say.
If he has no intention of coming back, that's not right. Make negotiation happen or, get things moving.
Doesn't seem like.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back when talking about what should happen next in the heavyweight division. He stated plainly, if Jon Jones isn't going to fight, then strip the belt. Make Aspinall the undisputed champion. And if Jon wants to return, let him earn it by facing Aspinall. Simple as that. Rogan also criticized the continued use of interim titles, calling it outdated and unconvincing. Fans aren't buying it anymore. He said his frustration echoes a sentiment shared by many fighters and fans, especially with the UFC staying tight-lipped about Jones's future. Khabib Nurmagomedov also offered his perspective during a recent interview in Dagestan. "Jon Jones isn't finished," Khabib said. "He's still training. He's just waiting for the right time." He acknowledged Aspinall's talent but suggested that Jones remains active behind the scenes. "This isn't someone who fades away. He's just biding his time. The UFC needs to handle this properly," Khabib concluded.
For now, he's the guy now, you know what I mean?
But if they would have fought, then you think that Tom had a strong chance because of the timing.
Yeah.
And fighting's always about timing.
Yeah,
Boxing,
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think for the speed, the power that carries, the way he moves in there, it would have gave Jon Jones problems, but it would have been a good fight.
So there's no ducking from Jon Jones?
No.
No ducking?
No.
We're not saying that?
I'm not saying that.
We're not having it?
Nah, definitely
Too
not.
much respect for Jon Jones, the GOAT of UFC. Is it fair to say he's the GOAT
of
UFC?
100%.
Meanwhile, UFC President Dana White has stayed clear of making any firm statements about Jon Jones, choosing instead to put the spotlight on the upcoming interim title fight between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. When pressed about Jones's return during a recent media scrum, White simply said, "We're working on things. Nothing to share at the moment." The vague response has only added to the speculation. Jones is still officially the heavyweight champion, yet there have been no updates on a return date, no confirmed opponent, and no news on his recovery progress following surgery, leaving fans and fighters alike wondering what's really going on behind the scenes.
One-shot knockout power. I believe that would make Tom Aspinall hesitate a little bit. And look, Tom would be the favorite in that fight. But if you don't think Derek Lewis has a shot to shut Tom Aspinall's lights out and steal that belt, not only be the knockout king, but add undisputed heavyweight world champion to his list, there's nothing more he needs. That would be the absolute fight to make for Tom Aspinall while he waits for the UFC White House card and hopefully gets Jon Jones after that. Now, again, it's easier to talk about getting a fight with Derek Lewis than it is to actually win it, especially
while in Russia. Jon Jones kept a low profile with the media, avoiding interviews but appearing in photos and spending time with event organizers. According to several sources, Jones took part in private discussions focused on fight promotion strategies, athlete development, and expanding into international markets. Although this doesn't confirm that he's stepping away from the UFC, it does suggest that Jones is staying actively engaged in the business side of combat sports. All of this adds fuel to the growing speculation surrounding his future, especially with Tom Aspinall now set to take on Cyril Gane. Many within the MMA community believe this matchup is paving the way for a unification fight, whether or not the UFC labels it that way. And even though Jones hasn't committed to a comeback timeline, his recent travels, along with pointed remarks from figures like Joe Rogan, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Israel Adesanya, suggest the pressure is mounting for clarity.
I'll just come out and ask you, do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again, he's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody. And, I think the reality is whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but, he's 38 years old and I don't know.
Joe Rogan didn't stop at criticizing the UFC's matchmaking. He also took aim at the idea of Jon Jones holding onto the heavyweight title without defending it. "You can't just be a placeholder champion," Rogan said. "The belt has to mean something. If you're out for over a year with no fight on the calendar, that's not fair to the rest of the division." Khabib Nurmagomedov echoed the sentiment, though in a more measured way. "Jon is one of the greatest, no doubt," Khabib said. "But if he doesn't come back soon, the division deserves a new leader. That's just how sports work." Israel Adesanya was more blunt in his assessment. "If Jon truly wants to retire at the top, he needs to fight the top guy. And that's Tom Aspinall right now," Adesanya said. "You can't just sit on the title and expect everyone else to wait around. This isn't the old UFC. Fans want answers, and they want action."
You tell us the timeline of Jon accepted the fight, went to Thailand, came back, didn't want the fight. What happened?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Thailand was the end of it. We were talking about it before that. But yeah, the fight was done. We had the fight done a long time ago. So why?
The uncertainty is starting to impact fighter rankings and momentum within the division. Tom Aspinall's reputation continues to grow, especially with endorsements from high-profile figures. Khabib Nurmagomedov described him as a serious problem for anyone in the heavyweight division, while Joe Rogan called him one of the most complete heavyweights we've ever seen. That on the other side, Cyril Gane, despite his high ranking, is increasingly being portrayed as more of a stepping stone than a legitimate threat. Caught in the middle of all this is Jon Jones, silent in public, yet clearly active behind the scenes. While no return bout has been confirmed, the landscape around him keeps shifting. UFC insiders have suggested that a return before December is unlikely, with some pointing to UFC 300 as a possible target. But as of now, there's no signed contract, no training footage released, and no official update from Jones or his team, only growing speculation.
In that world, right?
Yeah, you live in that division.
I also never beat him.
Yeah.
And no matter what I did going forward, it was always that, well, you never beat Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall is going to get that belt, and there's going to be a gap, right? That lineal championship breaks. That line breaks when Tom goes from interim to champ.
The lack of clarity surrounding Jon Jones has opened the door for widespread speculation. Former fighters, analysts, and industry insiders are now openly questioning whether Jones is facing leverage issues with the UFC. Some believe stalled negotiations could be tied to financial demands, while others think he may be preparing for a bigger move, possibly a shift toward international fight promotion. In the meantime, The UFC is moving forward by locking in Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, essentially keeping the heavyweight division active without formally removing Jones from the equation. One UFC matchmaker reportedly commented on the situation, saying it's better to let things unfold naturally than to strip Jones and stir up unnecessary controversy. We're giving him time, the source said, but there's a limit.
Looks like Jon Jones finally wants to fight Tom Aspinall, but this time at the White House. I told you guys that Jon Jones was playing chess, not checkers, this entire time. Someone just tweeted this at Jon Jones saying, ducking Tom Aspinall, ? Best decision you ever made, ? Jon responded, choosing when to attack and where you want the battlefield to be is not ducking, my friend. Try telling every single one of you that Jon Jones was never ducking Tom Aspinall. It's very clear here that Jon Jones is playing chess while
Public sentiment is also shifting, especially across MMA forums and comment sections. More and more fans are backing Tom Aspinall, arguing that he's earned the right to be recognized as the undisputed heavyweight champion. Many believe Jon Jones should have to step back in and prove himself rather than holding the division in limbo. Some fans even suggest that Jones may be avoiding unnecessary risk, possibly waiting to see how Aspinall performs before deciding his next move. If that's his strategy, it wouldn't be the first time. Jones has previously delayed his return to competition until the timing and opponent aligned in his favor. He took over 3 years to move up to heavyweight, eventually making his debut against Cyril Gane, a fight many saw as a stylistically favorable matchup.
Rogan saying that he is supporting the idea of Pereira versus Aspinall. We know Aspinall will do it. He already tried at 300. We know Pereira will do it. He has a chance to set history. Champ is not likely to ever happen to any of us. Again, there's a really big population that wants to see Jon Jones versus Pereira. There's a really big population that would rather see Jon Jones versus Aspinall. The winner of Ankalaev Rachik is going to take on Pereira, okay? Whatever your level of excitement for that is going to be. It still does not equal how badly you would like to see Pereira taking on Tom.
That backdrop has only deepened skepticism surrounding Jon Jones' next move. If Tom Aspinall dominates Cyril Gane, many fans and insiders expect Jones to delay his return even further. But if Gane pulls off an upset, some believe Jones might be more motivated to step back in. Regardless of the outcome, voices like Adesanya, Khabib, and Joe Rogan all seem to agree on one thing. The current situation can't go on much longer. As Khabib put it, the division can't stand still. The belt has to move. Someone needs to fight, and fight regularly. This is the UFC, not a movie studio. Rogan was even more blunt. This is a mess. Either strip him or schedule him. Don't keep pretending he's still the champ when he's flying to Russia for business meetings and not even training. As of now, the UFC hasn't made a definitive decision, but the clock is ticking. Aspinall versus Gane is set to go down later this year, and whoever wins is expected to call out Jon Jones immediately after. If there's no response by early 2026, the pressure to crown an undisputed champion may be impossible to ignore.
Jon Jones unretired.
And Jon Jones is going to, just for that fight.
He went back into the testing pool.
Right.
But Tyler and I debated because he hasn't fought in 4 freaking years.
Yeah. I would still pick him over whoever they would charge.
Been screwed.
Right. Well, Aspinall's he's the champ now. Right.
Yeah, he's the champ, but he hasn't been paid.
No, but I would assume that if Aspinall is successful and wins once or twice going into 26, that would be the match.
For now, the UFC is balancing a delicate line, pushing new stars forward while still honoring the legacy of one of its most dominant champions. But patience is wearing thin. Fighters, fans, and even commentators are no longer willing to wait in the dark. They want answers. With major voices like Israel Adesanya, Joe Rogan, and Khabib Nurmagomedov all calling for clarity, change could be on the horizon sooner than expected. Jon Jones has since responded to the growing criticism surrounding his heavyweight title reign, defending the path his career has taken. The former light heavyweight king, who moved up and captured the vacant heavyweight title in early 2023, has faced increasing scrutiny, not only for his prolonged injury layoff, but also for the lack of title defenses and the UFC's handling of his matchups.
So they've announced this White House UFC fight. Can we expect to see you on the card?
I can't promise anyone anything, but I have very strong feeling that I'll be on that part. It's going to be historic.
But who would you take on? Who would be your dream opponent?
I would want to take on whoever's holding the belt at the end of the year.
Any possible names you think?
Well, as of right now, the champion is Tom Aspinall. We'll see who's the champion at the end of the year.
But Jon Jones isn't buying into the idea that his legacy has taken a hit. In fact, he believes he simply played the game smarter than anyone else. Speaking to MMA Media, Jones addressed the criticism directly. "Don't be upset because I outsmarted the UFC," he said. "They handed me the belt. I didn't beg for it. I earned it in the cage. I became champion, and now I'm making decisions that work best for me." His tone was measured but firm. Jones dismissed the notion that he's ducking top contenders like Tom Aspinall or that the division has moved on without him. "People are angry because they expected me to lose. But I didn't. I won. And now I'm sitting at the top, like it or not."